Hey there. So it's been about a week since Fizzbin passed away. I've been trying to spend some more time with Tribble while I work on getting him some company. I'm actually pretty pleased with him. He seems to be doing okay. He's actually the nights the most he's really explored out here. He's still really skittish and really jumpy because I really wasn't able to work with him because of Fizzbin. So I kind of just sit here and let him come to me. In the first few nights, he kind of just sat with me but didn't want me to touch him, and would kind of come out for a second and then dart back into the cage. So he's spending longer out of the cage now, and he actually was running around and exploring a little bit tonight, which he couldn't really do before because Fizzbin would always kind of chase him, and so he's kind of learning that he can be out here and have some fun and not get bullied. So that's good. I'm still talking with a breeder. The first person I planned to go to said that they don't have any males, and they weren't sure when they were going to have males available. So I had to look into another breeder, and I actually found one who was closer, and it was also recommended in the same group that the first breeder I found was in. So this person actually has some older boys. They're about 4 to 5 months that they were talking with me about, and I thought that would be perfect because they'll be a little better handled. They'll have spent more time around people. They probably won't be very skittish considering that they're hers. And she said they're very sweet. And so that would be good for me just because my confidence was really shaken by Fizzbin's aggression. So I think that will be good. She said she's got like 4 or so, and I honestly would really like to have more than 2. I would like to, if she's willing to. I would honestly take all 4 of them, which 5 is a little more than I meant to have in this cage. I figured never more than 4, but today I found on Facebook Marketplace, I don't mind the mess, granted it's always a mess in here, I found another of the exact same cage and I bought it. So I will be doubling my cage space. Initially, I thought I'd be able to take these sides off and just kind of get some metal zip ties and tie the cages together so that I could just double my cage size. But looking at the way this particular cage is set up, the way that everything is screwed in, I worry that taking the sides out would kind of interfere with the structural integrity of the entire thing. So what I'm thinking instead is that both of them have, let's see if I can find it, these like top doors, which on my current cage I just zip tied shut. But what I'm thinking is I can take my big tube and find a way to secure it, this big one, find a way to properly secure it and run it from the top of one to the top of the other so that I can have both cages in there separately, like have one here and one here. And I can still have the number of rats I want, and they can still have extra space. And that way it's kind of easier in that I can kind of maybe get them all into one cage to clean the other and vice versa. So that would be nice. I actually moved all the dirt that was in this for their digging area into this smaller bin that I initially got when I thought I was getting a Critter Nation, because that was what this initial cage was actually advertised to me as on Facebook Marketplace. And once I got it, I realized that this wouldn't fit, and I figured I'd find some other use for it. And so I've got all my dirt in there for now because I want to use this to clean all the stuff that came with that cage because it was pretty gross. It was housing ferrets and it hadn't really been cleaned, and so it's honestly pretty rusted, which is pretty nasty, but I plan to do the same thing I did with the other one and get plexiglass to make a base, so all the rusted spots will be covered by that. And I mean, all the shelves and stuff I'm not going to use because I don't really care for shelves, but it also came with some litter bins that I can use as just levels in the cage, honestly. And I'm guessing this was another big litter bin that I could use as a level. And it came with a big old hammock. Oh, it stinks, I gotta wash it. But this huge hammock that I can use, and a ball pit. And the balls are also all really gross. So I wanna put some, I don't know, maybe some diluted vinegar or something in that big bin so I can scrub all this stuff before I put it in here with Tribble. But he's doing well as can be expected, I think. He doesn't seem too grieved by Fizzbin's passing, but then again, they didn't exactly have a normal cage mate relationship. He was, I think, really afraid of Fizzbin. Hey, baby. So honestly, as difficult as it was, it's probably good for him. And I don't want him to be alone, but at least he's not living with an aggressive cage mate who is kind of terrorizing him. So I'll see if he wants to come back out, but for now, the breeder I was talking to just messaged me, so I'm gonna check my messages. Oh, I was trying to catch Tribble digging. He's never dug in the pit before. Fizzbin never let him in, and I think it being deep made him nervous. So he's having a good time. The breeder I was talking to just sent me a video of a bunch of sweet boys. They're all 8 months, between like 6 and 8 months. And she showed me her like handling them and them interacting with each other. They all looked super sweet and super cute, super friendly. So I'm really excited. Hopefully I can get some of those guys. She said she's kind of thinning out her younger group right now, and since I am not like set on having babies and I'm happy to have older rats, she said that she can kind of have a few options for me to look and pick out a couple, especially now that I have the capacity for more rats. I can definitely get a few because I'd like to have a bigger group, because I think it would help. I mean, I think just in general, it would help Tribble to have a couple confident cage mates around, but I also think that just for the group dynamic, it would probably be good to have more than 2, just because then if any 2 don't get along, there's other rats for them to hang out with and spend time with. He's having fun in there. He never really did it. Don't mind the screaming upstairs. I'm dog sitting, and she's not happy that I created her to come down with my boy. But like I said, he seems to be doing okay. He doesn't seem depressed or anything, but it's kind of hard for me to tell because I didn't really have a good benchmark of his behavior beforehand because I got to spend so little time really truly interacting with him. But I'm hopeful that he's going to be okay, and it sounds like I'll have some brothers for him soon. Obviously they'll have to go through a quarantine period, but hopefully within a couple weeks he'll have some buddies to live with. So I'm excited. I think things will be looking up and he can have a happy little life. I'm actually kind of relieved I'm not going to be getting babies just because I've never really had rats at all, so I feel like having rats that have been, living with someone capable and knowledgeable for a significant period of time will just be good for me to get a better sense of how to interact with them and help me build confidence in how I handle them. And also with babies, the bar spacing on my cage I think is a little big. So I mean, I have my quarantine cage, which is still out in the garage because I was washing it outside today, and then I have this cage too with smaller bar spacing. And I figured with young babies I could keep them in there until in between those 2 cages, because the other one's a little bigger than this one, maybe like the same floor space but twice as high. So I could at least do that. until they were big enough to not slip through the bars, but now I shouldn't really have to worry about it because the boys I'll be getting will be full grown. So I'm excited. Maybe by the next time I record, I will have some new ratties to introduce.